When Mustang enthusiasts talk about performance packages for the S550 Mustang, it's usually the performance pack available on the GT. You had Performance Pack 1, which was pretty common, and the Performance Pack 2, which was rare and very desirable. But when enthusiasts were not looking, some Ford engineers took a discarded Focus RS engine and stuffed it in an Ecoboost chassis. And from that experiment, the high-performance package for the Ecoboost was born. I'm going to tell you right now, if Ford made a Ecoboost Shelby Mustang, this would be it. The high-performance package was available on the Ecoboost Mustang in 2020 and 2021. For 2020, it was around a $5,000 option, and it jumped to $6,000 for 2021, which means there's not a lot of these cars out there, because once you got all those options on there, it was approaching GT. But these were very, very impressive cars. The biggest thing that package got you was a different 2.3-liter engine under the hood. Now, it was not the engine from the RS, but took a lot of the good parts from the RS to bump the horsepower to 330 with 350 pound-feet of torque. It featured a turbo the same size as the RS, which is 3 millimeters bigger than your standard EcoBoost, and it put out 22 pounds of boost. The torque curve was also extremely broad, making these cars a lot of fun to drive. While the engine alone was worth the upgrade, the high-performance package is a complete package. It sold several performance parts from the GT, including the Performance Pack front splitter, a larger radiator, a strut tower brace, 355 gears, and the GT brakes. But also were a lot of cosmetic upgrades which were subtle but set this car apart from your standard EcoBoost. You had a unique grille, unique taillight panel, and unique emblems. And just like the Shelby, the chassis for these cars were serialized with the serial number printed on the dash. Now, to be honest, I haven't driven an EcoBoost in a little while, probably about a year. We had a couple projects here you guys probably remember back in the day, so we had a lot of fun with these cars. The last one I drove was a rental in Florida, and it was a very abused rental, so not a lot of fun. This car is way different than that is. The first thing you notice, they have active exhaust, so I put it in sport mode immediately, and it is louder than your normal EcoBoost. I mean, it's a deeper tone, you can hear the turbo a little bit more, and it definitely has a louder exhaust note than I'm used to with the EcoBoost. But that torque curve is impressive on these cars. I mean, the EcoBoost, I've said before, you know, you can only make them sound so good. It's a 4-cylinder, it's always gonna sound like a 4-cylinder. You're never gonna get that V8 sound out of them. But this one doesn't sound bad. I mean, the tone is on the deeper side, but it is a 4-cylinder sound. But these cars can be fun. I mean, a lot of people, once they get to a maxed out EcoBoost, go for the GT. But remember, these cars are lighter than a base GT. You know, you're talking a couple 100 pounds lighter. You're giving up some horsepower, but that weight definitely is noticeable when you're in sharp corners and really getting handling, which is really where this package excels. I mean, the additional motor stuff is definitely huge, and you know, those upgrades to the motor should not only make it make more power stock, it should respond better to modifications as well. Brakes are extremely grabby. And you're basically getting the standard GT brakes on here, front and back, slightly larger in the back actually. But I mean, especially with the 10-speed, I mean, it goes through the gears and it moves. I mean, this is a borrowed car, so I'm not going to beat on it too much, but Sport keeps it in that power band. I mean, we got a boost gauge on the dash, just like the older performance package EcoBoost did. And it's like, you know, when you get on it, that boost gauge definitely shoots up. But Sport likes to keep it up in the high RPMs too. I mean, you put it back in the normal mode, and it drops down, and it's, you know, a comfy cruiser. We can go back to Sport. Definitely drops a few gears, keeps it around 4,000, and you still have the paddles here too. But even highway speeds, like, you know, just cruising, and the boost kicks up and it goes. I mean, it's you know, it's not GT fast, but this car's a lot of fun. And as we can see, you could easily get in trouble with this car if you weren't too careful with it. Now just put it back in drive, and again, normal cruising, but we're gonna find a road that's a little bit curvy because, again, this thing is tight. The steering is tight. You have adjustable steering in this, so you have your comfort mode, you have your sport mode, and again, when you put it in sport, it adjusts the steering, adjusts the valves on the exhaust, and just kind of makes an entire package a lot more fun to drive. Now, while we're heading over to our favorite curvy road, I definitely have to give a shout out to Hoffman Ford in Harrisburg. I was actually driving by and I saw this car parked out front, and I knew how rare these were. I had never even seen one before. Stopped by to talk to them, and the managers there gladly let us borrow it for a few hours so we could do this video. So again, shout out to Hoffman Ford. Huge thanks for letting us borrow this car. And again, I wonder how many people probably have seen these, because again, they're not that common. I mean, on top of the normal $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 package to get this on your normal EcoBoost, there was even a handling package on top of that, which added some more stuff, including MagneRide. But that you're getting up to almost an $8,000 option on top of an EcoBoost. So there now you're, well optioned EcoBoost with both packages. You're over a base GT price. So that did keep some owners from not wanting to go that route. But if you do want a well-balanced car that handles well, the EcoBoost chassis is nice. I mean, taking all that weight off the front end makes the car a lot more stable in corners. Back in sport mode here. Yeah, I mean, this thing handles nice. So Mustangs, naturally being a heavy rear-wheel drive car, tend to understeer. You have a lot of weight in the front, you go into corners, and it tends to push through. Saving all that weight on the EcoBoost makes a noticeable difference. I mean, most of that 200-pound difference is off the front of the car. So handling-wise, I mean, these things are neutral. This thing feels almost as balanced as my Shelby going through these roads. I drive these roads all the time, and I don't have quite the power and quite the handling, but this is pretty close. And if you had the handling pack on top of it, probably close that gap even more. As I said, they never made a Shelby, they never actually made a Ford Shelby EcoBoost Mustang on a GT230, whatever you want to call it. But if they did, Ken, this would be a worthy candidate, especially if you added the handling pack. When you're talking MagneRide, bigger brakes, better suspension, chassis tuning, a little more power, an engine that's capable of taking more. You guys have a pretty cool little car here. And the torque curve is so broad. I mean, you come into these corners, it keeps you right in the boost, and you come out of it, and it's got the torque right there, and it just pulls. And sport mode, just like in the GT with the 10-speed, sport mode keeps you in that power band. And again, with a wide torque curve of this car, it works really, really well in corners. I honestly can't get over how loud it is for a stock EcoBoost. I mean, obviously it's the active exhaust, which turns things up a little bit, but yeah, this thing it's pretty loud and pretty deep for a stock car. Now, this would make an awesome daily driver and weekend autocross car. Now, obviously, like I said, we borrowed this car, so I'm not even trying to push it too hard. Some lucky owner is going to actually pick up this car from Hoffman Ford hopefully soon. I know they just got it in. That's why I wanted to do this video quick before they sold it. But yeah, I mean, this would make an excellent daily driver. And I said, you could take it out at an autocross, at road race, whatever on weekends and have a lot of fun. And obviously I'm talking a lot about the handling and the brakes and all that kind of stuff about what makes a package, but in a straight line, it's quick too. I mean, this car would surprise a lot of people. I mean, you're not gonna sneak up on too many coyotes with an EcoBoost, but a few well-chosen mods and anything before that coyote would have their hands full with this car for sure. I mean, again, I gotta thank Hoffman Ford for letting us borrow this car for a couple hours to shoot this video, because I've never driven one, and it's an impressive little car. I mean, this is a lot of fun. As I said, for a daily driver / weekend autocross road race toy, this could be a pretty impressive car to do that with. And again, this car is for sale right now, so maybe some lucky Mustang enthusiast will swing by Hoffman Ford and add this one to their garage, because I don't think they'd regret it.